So Viktor Gyokeres, all right, we've spoken about him quite a lot over these last few days, and I was going to sort of let it settle down and see what happened, and then something's happened. Sporting's president has come out with a pretty explosive interview, and what I'm going to do is run through that interview, translations, and what he's said about Gyokeres, because effectively he's done this in response to everything that's happened this week with agents leaking stuff to the press, and it's it's a rebuttal from the club. Now, I want you to let me know what you think in the comments, but my immediate point looking at this is just red flags, red flags, red flags when it comes to dealing with Sporting, when it comes to dealing with Gyokeres and his agent, because this whole thing is clearly going to get messy if it already wasn't. I'm going to run through it now. He said there, you can see the headline, "We will not accept an offer of 60 million euros plus 10 in add-ons." And I'll run through the translation here. I've highlighted the key points. All right. I tried to take 3 days off and I came back yesterday. I saw so much information and counter information that it's only fair to explain the process. It started last year when we were champions during the transfer window. We saw that he was going to stay because there was no offer. The agent spoke to us to add some clauses. Hugo Viana, who was, of course, the sporting director at the time. One of the agent's biggest concerns was whether we would demand the termination clause of 100 million euros, which we know. Hugo Viana negotiated with the agents over several meetings until the agent demanded the presence of the president. At this meeting, which included the president, the agent, and Viana, Gyokeres was not present, he wanted to guarantee certain things. He wanted to guarantee that Sporting would not demand a release clause, because no player leaves Portugal at the age of 27 for 100 or 90 million. In that same meeting, and this is the rebuttal from the Sporting president, he said, "It's not worth us setting a value because I don't know what will happen in a year's time. I don't know if it's going to be 40 or 60 or 80 million, but what I can guarantee is that we won't demand 100 million euros." So this is everything that we've seen so far and how the story's developed and the transfer story has all been coming from the agent side, leaking to the press, leaking a lot through Fabrizio Romano and using Fabrizio Romano as a tool to leverage power and control. It's how transfer, it is kind of how transfers work. It's not how transfers work, but if you want to play the game, then you use Fabrizio Romano. And that's what's been going on here. And effectively, the club is saying, that's completely a lie. We never... And look, you had the Portuguese press, and it's turned into a bit of a soap opera now. You had the Portuguese press saying that they had recordings of him saying this. Will that get released? I don't know. But he's saying that the fee was never set. Right, we didn't tell Gyokeres and his agent, right, okay, well, you can leave for, let's say, 60 million euros plus 10 in add-ons. They're saying that it won't be 100 million, but he never spoke about player departures, and now he sees the agent in the press releasing information. He goes down and he's a little bit stronger towards the bottom. Blackmail and insults Sporting will not accept. One thing is certain, Sporting will not accept 60 million euros plus 10 in add-ons. As of today, Sporting has received no proposal for Gyokeres. So this is all from the president of Sporting, Varandas, who's speaking out after everything that's happened this week because of this bloke. This is Gyokeres' agent. I think it's HMC Sports Management, something like that. And all of this is relating back to this, which Fabrizio, by the way, look at when he posted this, the 18th of May. He posted this a while ago, and I actually think it was early. This wasn't the first time that this came out about the idea that a package around 65 million, which not coincidentally, but is exactly what Sporting are denying, exists. The agent is saying it does. So you've got the agent of Gyokeres saying one thing, you've got the president of Sporting saying another thing, and this now immediately just screams red flags to me. This screams a messy situation. We now know that it's going to cost more than 70 million euros to get Gyokeres. Sporting, look, United could, of course, test the waters. Could this just be Sporting playing a game? Yeah, sure. But remember that summer where we had Jadon Sancho and Dortmund came out and were like, we will not accept less than 120 million. We're going to give you 80 anyway. We didn't sign him. Sporting, are they in a position? I don't know their financial position. I don't know whether they need to sell. I don't know. We know full well that Gyokeres is going to be their most saleable asset after the goal-scoring exploits that he's had these last couple of years. But it's just is... It's a modern-day trend. Hey, look, this sort of stuff happened in the past, all right? Who am I kidding? Agents putting pressure on clubs, trying to use the newspapers, trying to say this, get some leverage in a negotiation. It's part and parcel of what's existed in football for a long time. It's just that we as fans now, you get a lot more visibility about it because that leverage exists on social media, which we all consume. The leverage exists because of someone like Fabrizio Romano. How many people looked at this? 5 million. Sporting denied the existence of a pact between Gyokeres, his agent, and the club that they would release him specifically for that amount of money. What he does confirm is that, look, what I can guarantee is that I will not demand 100 million. So Sporting aren't asking for 100 million. Likely, I think you're going to be looking about that price that we've seen in the press. 80 million euros. Would you pay that for Gyokeres? Do United have the ability to pay that for Gyokeres? I don't even know. I'm surprised that we're even in for Gyokeres. I didn't think that was a conversation happening a week ago, but it may well be a conversation that ends sooner rather than later and ends without us signing Gyokeres. Given this interview. Now, what's your reaction? You can let me know in the comments. As I said, for me, it's a massive red flag because clearly Sporting feel like they're pissed off now. I tell you what, it looks like the beginning of a fractured relationship between Sporting and Gyokeres, and probably largely due to his agent rather than Gyokeres himself. This is why it's important to employ the right agents. Hey, look, Mino Raiola, when he was alive, he wasn't the nicest of people, but he got effectively everything for his clients. I think anybody who was represented him probably thought that he was a very good agent. If you're a fan, you didn't really like everything that went on with Mino Raiola and Pogba and all that jazz. And maybe his agent, Gyokeres' agent, is doing the same thing. This whole thing stinks for me, man. Stinks. I think United are probably going to have to go there and say, right, this is our offer. We're not going to sit around here all summer. We can't afford to spend, as much as we can't afford to spend unlimited amounts of money, we can't afford to just spend ages chasing a player who might not join us this summer. United are going to have to go to Sporting, probably with a last and final offer. Well, we haven't actually submitted an offer yet. That's something he said as well. We're going to have to go in there and say, this is what we can do. Yes or no, we'll move on. And then maybe Gyokeres could end up going to, geez, imagine that full circle and ends up being that Gyokeres goes to Al Hilal instead because Osimhen's turned it down. I don't think that would happen. Situation's messy. I don't particularly like it. There's a lot of red flags about this. What do you think the conclusion will be? But according to Sporting, they are not selling Gyokeres for 60 million plus 10. And the president is completely denying everything that the agent has said. Drama.